Um, yeah, so I figured I'd make a video to explain what I'm seeing in the markets a little easier, uh, because sometimes you can't get it all on just sharing a couple charts and typing some text out. Sometimes a visual in the form of a video helps, I find. So I'm always open to feedback. Let me know how to improve, what to do different. This is just going to be from a technical perspective on charts. I'm not going to be looking at options data, no dark pool data, no nothing. I'm going to briefly touch upon the macro. It's not my forte. If you ever do want someone that's really strong in the macro department, then go give Markets and Mayhem a follow. And I'll put the link below the video. But again, I'm going to briefly touch upon it just to use it for part of the technical aspect here of the chart. I'm on SPX, and this is in log format currently. The reason I have a line I drew, which I've been kind of playing with for a while. This one's been there for a while, but I've been observing like what happens above and below it. I was not trading back here, obviously, back in this era. So the reason I want to focus on these is because I want to look at not just every like recession or every crash, but I was focused a little bit on inflation-driven ones, right? And for example, 1972, which is this drop right here, I think. Is it? Yeah, right around here. That's when you had the beginning of like an inflationary period after that also had the Vietnam War going on. So it's similar to what we're seeing right now, right? And then the other one I wanted to look at was in 68, which is this one here. And that one was also due to inflation, right? Now, the reason I drew this line in particular is because it kind of served as a base from 1985. At least it was really reliable up until the 2008 crash, right? And then even over here for the COVID crash, it was really reliable. So I find that when a line works on a large time frame like this, there can be some benefits to it, right? So the reason I want to talk about this one in the context of where we are today is 75-point hike. The market rallied. There's all sorts of everybody's speculating what's going on, but even myself right now in this video. But the thing that we run into is, do you really think the bear market's over? Like, they're trying to change what they're saying, and they're even having other people say something in a different format, correct? For you to try to understand it in a different way, so that they're like, we're technically not in a recession. For example, Biden in one of his comments after GDP data said that Fed's POW and many significant banking personnel say we are not in a recession. When they're trying to define an economic event and they're pushing really hard, like all the press is trying to rewrite, the one on the side of the White House is trying to rewrite what a recession is. It's kind of a little murky. Like, I'm not political on each side, on either side. I just only pay attention to the news because if it matters to my trades, right? But I'm not convinced the bearish moves are completely done and out the way. I think we still have more to go, and that's the purpose of this video. I wanted to share my thoughts on it. So U.S. GDP was down for the second quarter, right? And it doesn't meet the official NBER definition of a recession, right? But some surveys already coming out, and projections are already showing worse GDP growth ahead. To me, that's we still have really bad inflation. Like, as a consumer myself, like I feel it. Like, you feel it everywhere you go. Fill up gas. buy groceries, whatever it may be. Like, everyone's feeling the crunch right now. And going back to sometimes, what's going on, if you look at the overall picture, and this is what I'm going to try to paint right now. So I'm gonna turn the log off, right? Real quick on the chart, I'm looking at that as possible resistance now, right? That's the purpose of having the line drawn here. So here it told us when it went down in 2008. Over here on the COVID crash, it tapped it and then dunked. We rallied over it here, and I've been liquid since about July of 2021, and I've been just day trading here and there. I'm not trying to take any super long positions, so that's another reason why I'm waiting to buy. Hopefully, cheap gets cheaper, for at least for my long acquisitions. So right now I'm looking at this as a possible resistance, possibly, right? I'm going to go ahead and remove that one because the rest of them I have on the regular setup. So looking over here, I want to make out a couple things. So this to me was, and I'm going to change it from monthly to week. It's still an SPX. This to me was a line that I had, that was my previous trend line, which was from this move up here. Seemed like a little bit of a breakout. And I had been using it. For example, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly right now, I traded this one up, not all the way obviously, but I rode it up part way and got some profit off that. Again, I've been doing smaller position day trading since July. Like, I've been putting everything on the table per se. So when this trend line got broken, my natural instinct on such a large time frame is it was really reliable here for my support, I guess you could call it. So now I'm going to see it as like a resistance here, right? Again, this is on SPX, not futures, because I want to make sure we clarify that. Now, that being said, I tried to draw what I considered the new trend, which I have in these green lines right now, the new channel, if you will, that we were trading in. Again, it was a rough estimate. The channel, if I recall correctly, I drew back in April. This trend line, I don't recall. It was back here somewhere I drew. So the channel that we have going on here, I see a couple things starting to converge, if you will. And when I see that, I'm thinking, well, again, it's an area of interest for me, because the type of trader I am is I try to find an opportunity and act on that. I'm not trying to before I was trying different techniques and different strategies, and it was more of a, let me try to predict what's going to happen. I find it better now, at least after doing a couple tests for my personal way of trading, that I like to doing more reaction trading. I'm trying to obviously combine different techniques, and I'll get to that whenever I do a follow-up to this on actual, when we get to the point of a reaction. But right now I'm just, again, expressing what I see. I brought this little guy up because I call it the chop zone, and the reason I call it the chop zone is because I had used that one I used it for a couple puts. It's one of those things that, again, an opportunity arose. So if you notice here, it dropped really bad, and then got up right to it, rejected again. We got a breakout here, a little bit of consolidation in this area, and then right here, broke down, and we went deeper, right? Dig down deeper. Now, the reason why I'm watching this zone is because I want to see if it's an area of difficulty again going up. Now, again, this is SPX. Today is, Friday, July 29th, before market open. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because futures is at 4104 right now. That one's, it's already past this. So I want to make sure this is SPX that I'm looking at. That being said, the reason I trust this zone a lot is because one of the moves I got it was like really accurate. It was pretty freaking accurate. Like, it was scary accurate. And when I get those types of reactions, you know, it's worth it. It's worth trying to go back, find out why. We'll, you know, repeat again what market conditions were happening, etc. This is one here. I actually remember I was watching this one. I did not play this one. I think I wasn't trading that day. But if you notice, right when it fell out of this area, that was it. It started gapping down, and it seems to be at least an area of difficulty is what I'll call it. Similar thing over here. You know, you had some tests down, and then it just fell down. I'm not saying it's going to react exactly that way at that area right now, but I'm going to keep watch again as a more reaction type trader. Moving on, I just want to bring out a couple more things that I have left. I don't want to make this video too long. I have some lines, but these are from previous areas where the moving averages were the ones I was using, so they're no longer current. A lot of these lines are actually older lines, but again, I've left them because of a reliability factor here. So the one I want to point out is, again, we're past this channel here. We're past these two that before were, again, I think they were EMAs, if I recall correctly. I'll turn them on in a second and we'll look at it. But I want to leave this one here because this one, if I recall, was, I believe it was a previous 20 EMA resistance. And, you know, I'm going to keep watch again because 40.95 area is roughly where there's a lot of difficulty. And that's right around where I have this line. I believe I drew it around here because it's a ray, not a line. So it starts here and, you know, goes to the right. So this is going to be one of those points of watching for me. Now, if I go out to the bigger time frame, you'll notice again, it's going to be an area for me to watch. I want to see how it reacts. Moving on, I'm going to turn on so the first one I'm going to turn on is 3 EMAs, and I'm going to talk about, I've tried different ones. I started, you know, 924, 920, 820, SMAs, EMAs, mixing them, etc., etc. I built a super trend script. I'll get to that in a bit, but that will, you know, that's irrelevant now. I've done testing on those, and some of them were too fast, too slow, too much noise, too much you know, I'm gonna go with what I find to be reliable to me. And again, this is just speaking from you should always go with what's reliable for you. Now, none of this is, you know, I have no position. I'm not long or short right now. So this is just me talking about what I see in the chart myself. If you notice, here's the EMAs, and I turned on 5, 9, and 20. Basically, this area, if you notice, reacted really well, and now it's turning into our support on these two. This one's still right there. That might be why we saw a little bit of a pinch. I actually think today at market open it'll still trade up a little bit. Maybe not, you know, anything crazy because there are quite a few resistances above it. But you know, I think today will still trade pretty green because of the way the market is just crazy right now. With, you know, the ERs that came out were not the greatest for everyone. You know, there's a few in there that were winners, obviously, but I'm saying, like, overall, to me at least, it felt like there were a lot of losers, and the market didn't care. Like, it still reacted the way it's going to react, and there's many reasons as to why, but I'm not going to get into let's look at options or this or no. I'm just looking at it from a charting perspective. So going back to the monthly, which is the one that's important to me, I feel like we're going to run up, but I doubt we're going to close above this high here, or even this body of this wick. Now, I'm pretty confident in that one, and the reason why is because it's kind of a little, again, not futures, SPX. I feel like there's too much exuberance in the market, too much, a little bit too much craziness. And I know I've seen this before, in 2021, and I have a couple videos on my YouTube that I'm pretty bearish, and there still was more room in the market to go up per se, and I'm happy I wasn't increasing my positions or anything in how much money I was, the sizing and all that, because if anything, I want to be more liquid in these situations so I can hopefully invest accordingly for long term when it is near the bottom. Now, I'm not a timing trader anymore either. I actually used to try that heavily to try to time the tops and the bottoms. No, now I just worry about meat and potatoes, like the big part. Try to get as much as you can of the big meat. Horse has a great tweet about it. I'll share it below too, about the chicken wing. Just you only want the meat. You don't want to gnaw at the nasty parts on the end. So I think it's going to close, and it would be like an inside bar to this one. So hopefully, if that's that's the end of the month, then we have to look for August. Now the reason why I don't, this is why I'm overall bearish, is I know these lines aren't perfect on the channel. There were rough drawings from what information on the chart I had up until then, but so I have the chop zone. I have these EMAs that are above it here, which, if I'm not mistaken, are 4096, 4097 area, 4108 and 4189 currently, right? And then I have the blue trend line. Remember, we talked about that one. That on the weekly, it served me really well on support on this. Once it got under, I'm going to look at it as possible resistance now. And then the channel, right? So we have too many things converging here that I'm going to be definitely keeping watch on the 40. I'm going to call it 4090 to 4095 area on, again, SPX. I'm not expecting, again, okay, well, right as August opens, boom, that's it. It's going to all drop down. No, that's not what I'm expecting either. I'm telling you what I expect for the next month, because this is on the monthly time frame. Ideally, I like to see, again, maybe a little higher open, and then just, I want most of the body to be down. I'll show you what kind of wicks I'm looking for in a minute. But this is me basically saying I don't believe this works. Something like this. These the second and third, I just randomly Googled an image, by the way. The second and third wicks are kind of what I'm looking for the monthly on SPX. Remember, I'm on SPX. What am I expecting in the meantime? Like, I guess weekly, kind of more of the same. Kind of a consolidation, maybe similar to this right here. This is on the daily. There we go. I'll highlight it. I'll draw a little box around it or something. This. I would like to see something similar to this, where there are attempts to break upward, maybe even a little bit higher above the blue line that used to be our trend support, now resistance, right? And that's fine, because it's going to be one of those things where I feel like it's going to flip pretty fast, given the situation of where we're at. Too many things are lining up. The consumer credit card debt is going up. People are taking out loans and whatnot to get by. I don't like talking about the negativity, but there's just a lot of inflationary pressures. And besides that, you also have the other things going on in the world that are affecting either the supply chain or the food supply all around the world. So you have a lot of things to definitely keep an eye out for. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm still learning this. This is just my point of view from what I see as a possibility. One more thing to note, I would try to find, probably on the weekly maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'd try to find a weakness on a signal on a larger time frame, like a weekly. Maybe look for this one's RSI, right? Either on RSI or MACD. Look for bearish momentum, obviously, in your favor. Here, let's pull up MACD. I don't know what it looks like actually. Yeah, so I'd wait, obviously, for another bearish cross. That's when I'd start looking at possibly, like, it depends on the area too and what the chart's telling me. But definitely, this is that's why I'm saying I think it'll still end green today, and possibly a little bit more exuberance to be shown. Again, I'm looking for something like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down, test, retest, test, retest, and then depending on the next data we get, the next economic data, or I don't know, some news, because we don't know what the situation in Europe and whatnot might, how that might go. I'm also going to bring up the SMA 20, and I forgot to bring that up earlier. That one's above it too, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, it's this purple one. So if you notice, there's this nice little, I guess my chop zone is wider now. If you notice, it's 4073 to 4113. So there's this big area here that, to me at least, is going to be very, very heavy resistance at some point. So we might see similar pattern behavior to this. If we do, then obviously I myself am like hoping for that, I guess, a little bit. I play both sides, up or down. It's just when I look at the overall big picture and I see this to me is still an overall bearish trend, just because we'll have rallies in during a bear market. Doesn't mean the whole trend has turned around, at least not to me yet. I'm going to wait to see that, and I'm going to probably wait for the Fed to signal that as well, because it definitely, if anything, we've just begun the quantitative tightening phase. So definitely always, if you have any feedback, let me know how I can improve, what I can do better. If anything else, I hope this helps somebody out there. I know there's people that might come across this that are better traders than I, and you want to use the other tools at your disposal. That's what I do during the day when I trade. But I just wanted to look at it from a chart perspective. No options and all that involved. Basically, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take up more time, make the video too long, but definitely worth a look. One more time, I'll leave it, which is I'll repeat it one more time, and I'll write it below, which is EMA's 5920, and I threw a SMA 20 in there, and I'll write down this chop zone. See where we go from there. Stay safe, trade safe, take care. I noticed I mentioned my super transcript, but I didn't actually get to it, so I'm adding this part in real quick at the end. This is the weekly, for example. I'm going to change it to the daily. I really like using it on the daily, and I'm going to turn it on just so that you can see the overall picture that it paints. So it can be delayed on the daily. I use the daily just to get a general idea of which direction things are going in, if it's about to approach an area like on the super trend here or not. We've kind of been in this bearish move, and that's why I personally don't think it's completely over. We bounced, but to me it wasn't deep enough, I guess. But again, I'm still skeptical of the recession isn't a recession, and coming from the same people that told us inflation was transitory. Um, I think we might see down in this area still, but this is again the weekly. This is the daily, and one of the ones I was and if you notice, it kind of lines up with this top channel of mine that I had going, right? The reason I wanted to show this one is because you'll see a cloud here. You can see the shaded area, right? So this is drawing to you, again, a cloud type of, similar to Ichimoku cloud, but different. This is just a cloud of mixture of SMA and EMA. Big trend, little trend mixed together, basically. So at the top here, if you notice, this also coincides on the weekly with that trend that was the previous support of mine, and now possible resistance, which is the top end of this cloud of drawn currently for the super trend, this mixed area. Now that being said, the minute I turn back on everything else, and you see all these resistances light up that I'm talking to you about. So I do expect some type of behavior kind of like this panning out. This is on a weekly scale. So on a monthly scale, it wouldn't look like that. It would probably look, again, like that one wick I was trying to show you a minute ago. Actually, I think I saw one just now on the daily. Oh wait, I have it highlighted. I saved it. And is it for the weekly? Yes. Okay, let me turn the super trend off. This is the kind of wick we're looking for. These two wicks, but on the monthly. And again, it'll take a whole month to do that. On a weekly, it'll look like this mixed area, but up here, and then hopefully by the end of the month, going into September, is where we'll see a downtrend pulling down if that area is chopped and still strong resistance, like I was noting. Now this is on the monthly scale, and if you've noticed, it's pretty okay. At the reset area for the super trend was 2018. The COVID crash did not touch down on the monthly, at least. On the weekly, I believe it did. Yeah, it broke the bottom of the super trend. See, here you go. That's 2008. Recovered, stayed above it until COVID. There was a touchdown here. But I like the super trend. It kind of just gives me an overall general idea of where things are at, how to navigate this area I'm in. So that being said, check it out. I'll put the link below as well for that, because I have a whole video on how to set up TOS and TradingView, but I'll put the direct links down below. So like I said, I'm going to be watching this area for similar chop to this, and on the daily it'll look like this right here. Now if you notice, this trend is very strong. The super trend is matching this channel. It's gonna be really hard to whip that up right now into a more bullish trend. If you notice, this is a longer phase of the trend. So once it was broken, even this jump up to the top extreme here wasn't enough to turn it around. So right now we're still definitely on that push downward on the bearish. Again, I hope this helps anybody out there that maybe less knowledgeable than I even. I do wish everybody success, good luck, and stay safe.